When you need a snack that keeps up, reach for Roller Bites. Packed with protein and stacked with bold flavors like tequila lime, Monterey Jack, and Buffalo Ranch. These compact handheld snacks are built for busy days and nonstop schedules, delivering satisfying bites without slowing you down. No prep, no pause, just real flavor and real fuel in every roll. Find them at your nearest convenience store or see them on tour. Visit rollerbites.com for dates, locations, and more.
American homeowners are sitting on $30 trillion in home equity. But home insurance is up over 100% since 2010. Healthcare, childcare, property taxes, all up. But wages? Just stuck. Lots of equity, but feeling the squeeze. Every month they wonder why it still feels so tight. Unlock thinks we need to talk about this more. Start at unlock.com/equity. Unlock Home Equity Solutions and MLS 2657081.
Quick question. When was the last time a display ad changed your mind? Now think about the last time a friend told you about something they loved. Different feeling, right? That's how podcast advertising works. A host who's built real trust with their audience talks about your brand in their own words, in their own voice. It doesn't interrupt the experience. It's part of it. With Acast, you can access the world's largest podcast marketplace. Choose the right shows, the right audiences, the right format. Then watch the data tell you it worked. You're not buying impressions. You're buying influence. Learn more by visiting acast.com/advertise.
Hello and welcome to Shaded Reality, where the recaps are hot. Nope. Where the shade is hot. Nope. What is it? Where the recaps are hot, but the shade is cool. Today at work, I had a meeting, and we had to turn it into a Teams meeting because I was working from home. And it was with two other women. We were just going over some stuff. And they couldn't figure out how, originally it was supposed to be an in-person meeting, so they had to change it to a Teams meeting and all this stuff. And then she ended up sending, it was just a mess. She ended up sending the link then, and then she called the meeting the Hot Mess Express. And that's how I feel today. It's just freaking one thing after another. All right, so
stuck in my braces.
Oh, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I was also doing like clips today to put up on a download and put up, and oh my god, when you upload to TikTok, it just shows like the whole timeline of the clip, and you can pick a screenshot from it to be like the cover.
Yeah.
To find one where one of us wasn't picking like our finger in our mouth or like making a weird face or closing our eyes, or it's impossible sometimes, like impossible. So it is what it is, but we're a mess. Yeah, sometimes I don't even know why we do the video part. Like, it's just, I know. But I put them up on YouTube. I stopped doing it on Spotify because it didn't seem to make a difference, or it just took a whole bunch of extra time, and I don't have time for that. All right, so today, morning, whatever time of day it is when you're listening to this, this is In the City, Season 1, Episode 3, Mimosas and Mayhem. It actually was like a fast episode. It was kind of 3 parts, and I had watched it twice because I watched it when it came out, and then I just watched it today to take notes, and it wasn't, it was good, but it wasn't, you know, some shows are so long and drawn out, or they like skip back and forth constantly to little tiny scenes. The Valley likes to do that. Yeah. And it makes it hard to recap because you're thinking, what's important? Do I really need to write this down? Or if I don't write it down, am I missing something? I like the producers of this show. They seem to like, there's a real scene there. So we start with Amanda. She's standing in the middle of New York City next to what? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear that running in the background?
Yeah, I guess I can.
I think it's my air conditioner.
But it's not. Oh.
It sounds really loud on my end, but.
I didn't really notice it until you said something, but it's there.
I don't know why it sounds
for
like
sure.
that. I'm gonna turn it off, but you can start.
Okay. So we start out with Amanda. She's standing next to a construction site, and Ciara and West are walking up to her, and she says she was just checking their location, so that must be like a little breadcrumb for us to, remind us that they have each other's locations. And they check them. And so she tells them that they're meeting her at her new apartment. But it was super weird because we don't see, which, I mean, I assume if I lived in the city or what, even if I lived where I lived, I wouldn't want the actual exterior of my place that I live filmed because I wouldn't want people to know where it was. But it was so odd because they just showed a construction site, and West was even confused because he's like, "Oh, are they still building the building?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Well, that's what it looks like. You're literally next to a construction site, and you said this is where I'm gonna live." So, but anyway, she just tells them she wants to move as soon as possible.
Who is
in her
this?
interview, this is Amanda.
Oh,
so
okay.
she had them meet. Ciara and West were meeting her at her new apartment that she hasn't moved in there yet. But it just looked like a full on, when you're walking down New York City streets and they have the big walls up because there's construction going on behind them. She was just standing next to those construction walls.
Oh.
It was like wooden walls. And West was looking and he's like, "Oh, are they still building it?" Like he thought they were literally still building the building she was going to move into. So in her interview, she says, when talking about Ciara, "I'm obsessed with that woman." And we see a clip from 3 months earlier at the summer house, and Amanda and her are jousting. It was at one of the parties, and the theme must have been like old kings and princesses and knights, that kind of thing. I don't remember specifically.
Yeah.
And they're just jousting with blow up swords. And Amanda says, "This is the most you'll ever see Ciara and I fight." And yeah, so that was just a nod from production to be like, no.
Like,
And so, yeah. Ciara asks her, this was funny. They're walking then to go to get lunch, and Ciara goes, "So did you actually fill out the application for the apartment and everything yourself?" It's like, she doesn't trust that Amanda can fill out a rental apartment agreement by herself. The woman's like 32 now or something. So Amanda explains that her and Wes became really good friends over the summer because he was there for her, and we see a bunch of flashbacks. And honestly, we do not need all the flashbacks that were in this episode. Most of them just happened. If you are, I guess it's because there might be a new audience here, people that haven't watched Summer House, but them having Summer House go straight into In the City, it's kind of annoying to get a flashback from something we just saw 3 or 4 episodes ago. And they're just trying, obviously, to show West and Amanda have a relationship here, and they're trying just too hard. I'm actually curious to see what the original cut of these scenes were, because I feel like they're really pushing to show that there's more here than maybe there even was. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm an earlier or later timeliner. I don't know if they were together at this point. I think this was October. They were probably together by this point. But yeah, they're just really pushing to show that they are something.
Just friends.
Yeah. So Amanda says that recently Ciara and Wes became friends again too, so now she has her perfect trio. They sit down and order lunch, and Amanda reaches, because Ciara and Wes are sitting next to each other and across from Amanda. So Amanda reaches out like her 2 hands and grabs their hands and just says, "You guys," and just is like, "I'm so happy, blah, blah, blah." I guess she was implying that Ciara and West are friends, because Ciara says, "You guys need to chill out." And Amanda's very giddy in this scene. just smiling ear to ear. I mean, she's getting her apartment. She's essentially ending her marriage. She is in love, it looks like. That's the giddy she is she's
like
happy,
a newly dating,
yeah. And we don't see that from Amanda ever. And she says, why? Like, because Ciara's like, chill out, you know, thinking that the happiness and the giddiness is to the fact that West and Ciara are friends again.
Yeah.
And Amanda says, why? West has been waiting his whole life for this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She always makes weird comments. Then Bravo does this very weird, like, meta thing where they have Amanda on her couch interview. She's in her original confessional. She's all happy. She looks healthy. And she's talking about this scene. And then it starts, like, flickering. And Amanda, more recent, May 5th, 2026, pops in. Whole new outfit. Her hair's down. She looks like, I don't even know, Wednesday Addams or something. Like, she looks sad. She looks more gaunt. Like, it's a full transition. And she looks like she almost aged 20 years. And they ask her how she feels about this scene now. So they want her to say, okay, now that the world knows you and West are together, we're probably together back then. Tell us the truth. Like, what was it like having lunch with Ciara and West? You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool that they did that. We see a bunch of headlines pop up from the day that they publicly announced that they are, yes, seeing each other.
Yeah.
And that's when we see that this scene was shot in October. And they flash back to the scene again, back to real time in the show, where they're having lunch together. She's just smiling so big at him. He's smiling back at her. Like, it was a lot. And they ask if there was any inkling of a crush there. And she says, no, this was my friend. These were my friends. And they were really important to me at this time. I was so happy right there. So she is just saying, I think it also could just be a huge relief. You know, when you finally make a decision or make a choice and you feel like, I remember feeling like this when I quit my job. When I moved from Maine and I finally made that decision to quit, it just felt like all the weight of the world was gone. I didn't have all that stress anymore, even though I still had months until I actually moved or whatever. Just the fact that I knew it was going to be over. So I think she also could just be feeling that. It might have absolutely nothing to do with West at all. Right. Then, so they're sitting at a picnic table kind of overlooking the water while they wait for their food. And West asks if Ciara is cold. And then he takes off his coat and puts it around her shoulders. Just so performative. It was ridiculous. Ugh. Amanda's explaining that the other week, Kyle came home at 8 o'clock in the morning. So another night, he was just out all night. West says, so you guys say stuff in counseling about how if he continues to do this, you're done. It's over. You're going to leave his bitch ass. And he just continues doing it. And Amanda talks about a time a few days ago when Kyle was out with West. And she clarifies, oh, you're not in trouble, West. And she says she had texted West to see how Kyle was. And I'm like, that's weird. Why would you be texting one of the guys your husband's out with,
right,
checking up on your husband? I've never in my life even thought to do that.
Right.
And he said he wasn't super wasted, and West quickly says, and I was in bed by 10 o'clock. I'm like, who cares? Right. Like, no one asked when you went in. No one cares. You're not in a relationship with anyone. You don't have to be home at a certain time. And Amanda says that Kyle was home by 11 that night and fell asleep in the kitchen again. And I'm like, what? He falls asleep in the kitchen?
In the kitchen.
I mean, I know he blacks out. We've seen that on Summer House, but he usually always makes it to bed. And they just reiterate that this man is 43 years old. Like, he has a drinking problem. I mean, that's my opinion, but from everything we've seen, you can't even understand him by the end of the night. And he does this every weekend. So, I mean, it's a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
And, yeah, Wes just says that Kyle shows no signs of chilling out. And Ciara asks if he even wants to be married. Amanda says she doesn't know, but the crux of the situation is that they're not single and they're not seeing other people. She just keeps reiterating this throughout every conversation with Kyle in this episode, any conversation where she's talking about her relationship. She just wants to make it clear that even though she's moving out, they're not single. And I believe she was doing that because she thought she was going to catch Kyle in something. Like, she was going to get a video from somebody that he was kissing somebody else, or that he cheated, or I think she was setting him up. That's what I believe, because she just says it too many times.
Yeah.
I mean, if that is what is happening between her and her husband to make it clear these are the boundaries or whatever, sure. But she says it so often that I'm like, you want to make sure the audience knows so that when or if Kyle messes up, you can say, I was clear. I said we're still together.
Yeah.
And then look who's the one who stepped out on the relationship. So then this is very long scene, or I took a lot of notes anyway. Wes asks if she is doing Loverboy stuff, because she was the creative director. Like, she drew the logos for all the cans, and she, I think, drew a lot of the logos for the memorabilia, the t-shirts, the hats. She did all of the websites, all that creative stuff. That was, her part of the business. And Ciara reminds Amanda that whether you're working with the company right now or not, you didn't sign a prenup. So you two, as a married couple, own this business. And Loverboy, just for you, because you're not a Summer House person, was doing amazing before they got married. It was a great company, because it was like the top. This was before COVID, and it was when seltzers were just through the roof. Everyone, that was like a brand new thing. The 0-calorie seltzer thing was huge. And they had discussed a prenup, but Amanda didn't want one, because why would she? There's her husband, her new husband, owns this big company. So I think it's funny that now the company might go under. She's like, well, I'm not responsible for that. But if that company was making millions, she'd be like, well, I was the creative director. I need half. And she is just so, in this conversation, laissez-faire about the whole thing. No, like, Kyle would never do that to me. I don't owe anything with this company. That's his thing. And they talk about some loan that Kyle apparently had took out to start the company or something before they were married. And Ciara's like, I don't know, maybe not that loan because he signed that himself, but the company as a whole is half yours, meaning half your responsibility, not just half yours monetarily. And honestly, I don't know if this is true because every state has different requirements and laws surrounding divorce. And I believe Kyle established the company before they married, and they've only been married 4 years. So it might not, actually, I don't be half her I don't know. I have no clue what New York's divorce laws are. But Ciara says where he is at now financially, and we cut to Kyle. He's in a meeting with his team, and he says to his team, to be brutally honest, we only have enough money in the bank to last to the end of the year. And this is October. So you're talking November, December.
Oh my gosh.
And he's trying to say they need to find any kind of anything they can do essentially to keep making a little bit of money to push that date out. And so Ciara explains that wherever Loverboy lands, if it comes out in the negative, it could definitely affect her. And Ciara and Amanda's like, I don't think he would do that to me. Why? You were working as the creative director in the company. Like, yeah. I don't know why she is so, like, adamant that she just, it's not her thing. I think it's very weird. Now, granted, we know in the reunion, which it has, you know, was shot after these scenes were, that they're still not divorced. And it doesn't seem like either of them are doing anything to get the paperwork going. So, I don't know. Amanda's just too lazy. And have you noticed, I mean, I don't know how many people you know that are divorced, but why does it always seem like the woman has to file? Why do the men never go do it? It's weird. Like, what is that gender thing? It's so odd.
I know a handful of people that are, like, either currently or have just went through a divorce, and it was always the women.
Always.
Like, men will just, like, let it sit.
Yeah. I know if in my relationship, I mean, I do the paperwork for everything, so I know my husband would never do the paper. No matter how much he hated me or whatever, like, he would never do the paperwork. It would just never happen. It's so weird. Because I guess women get shit done, and that's just how it is. So yeah, that finally ends that scene, and yeah, Amanda's just in denial. I don't know what is with her. I feel like she was just taken care of by her parents, and then got in a relationship with Kyle and was fully taken care of by him, and she just has no idea how the world actually works or how to be an adult and take care of herself. She has no clue. It's weird.
So is that Kyle's only business? Like, that's how he makes his money?
I don't know. So when we first met Kyle in Summer House, his job was to start businesses. So it's not the only business he's ever started, but he has either the business didn't work out or he sold old businesses, that sort of thing. But this was going to be the business he kind of held on to and was a money maker for him, so he didn't sell it. But I don't know that I'm sure he's an entrepreneur, like, that's what he does. So he may have started and sold other businesses at the same time. We just don't, hear their names or whatever. So now Lindsay is meeting Frank, the milkman, that guy that she was introduced to at the Welcome to New York party. And he is good looking. I will give her that. Like, he's attractive. And
American homeowners are sitting on $30 trillion in home equity. But home insurance is up over 100% since 2010. Healthcare, childcare, property taxes, all up. But wages? Just stuck. Lots of equity, but feeling the squeeze. Every month they wonder why it still feels so tight. Unlock thinks we need to talk about this more. Start at unlock.com/equity. Unlock Home Equity Solutions and MLS 2657081.
Fuel your hustle with protein-packed, flavor-stacked Roller Bites. These compact handheld snacks deliver bold taste and real protein, so you can stay full, focused, and moving. No mess, no slowdown. Big flavor, clean fuel, and the kind of bite that just works. From long days to late nights, Roller Bites are ready when you need them in flavors like tequila lime, Monterey Jack, and Buffalo Ranch. Grab them at your nearest convenience store or catch them on tour. Visit rollerbites.com for dates, locations, and more.
Asks her if she would look at him differently if he ordered a rosé, and he's like, because I think a man should drink certain things, and I'm like worried you'll think of me differently. And she's like, order what you want, like, order your rosé, like, I don't give a shit. And then he asks if she worked out today, and she kind of just looks at him and she goes, no. And he looks at her like, you're crazy, you haven't worked out today? She's like, I have a 22-pound baby. I pick her up all day long. And he's like, oh, okay, so you worked your biceps. And she just looks at him and she goes, did you work out today? And he's like, of course, I work out every day. And then we go we go to Lindsay in her interview. She's like, I'm not looking for a soulmate. She's like, I just want to go out for drinks, have a quick laugh, then go back home. And if my fanny's fluttering, that's all I need. So she's just looking to, you know, bang one out. She has she realizes this is like not gonna go anywhere. This man, it wasn't as awkward as it could have been with anybody else, because Lindsay just kind of dominates a room and can, you know, you don't feel like Lindsay could never be awkward. Lindsay will give you a look, or they could be silence, but it's never awkward because she just has such a presence. But this man has no sense of humor, and he was talking, she asks him about his business, and because he talks about how he started this milkman business, and apparently he just essentially has a bunch of hot guys, and they play off the nostalgia of the milkman, so they like dress in hot milkman costume kind of things, and they deliver fresh milk to your door. So it's just these hot beefy guys that deliver fresh milk to your house, to your apartment, or whatever. And that's like his whole business.
What if you're not there to receive the milk? What is
maybe they have coolers. I don't know.
No, I mean, like, no isn't the point?
Some people might sign up for it just because they want fresh milk too.
Oh my god.
I don't know. But so this man has no sense of humor. So he's talking about his business and how, you know, he knows the streets or something, and makes a comment about being a master in the streets. So Lindsay is trying to have banter and be funny, and so she goes, oh, a master in the streets. Are you a master in the sheets? And he just looks at her. And then he's like, oh, yeah, probably. Like, he has no sense of humor. She's like, that was a joke. He goes, yeah, I know. Like, he's not a funny person at all. God. And she does not seem to care. She's like, I just need a man. Like, she just essentially wants a man to take her home and throw her around for the night. Like, that's all she wants. She's like, Jem is switching over to whole milk soon, so that could work out. Like, she does not care. I'm like, I think if I went out on a date with a man and he had such a lack of personality, I would think he wouldn't even be good in bed.
No.
Like, I
wouldn't even want to try.
Yeah.
I would be like,
no.
I'm out.
Yeah. So that ends there. I hope she got what she wanted from it. So Georgia and Yvonne are going to the park with Georgia's kids, and this is kind of Mean Girl stuff. There's these weird little comments, and I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out over the season, but just kind of, you know, keep it in the back of your head for later episodes. Georgia says Yvonne is just a lovable airhead, which I'm like, I would be pissed if someone described me like that. And then Yvonne says she loves to see Georgia with her kids because she loves how calm and laid back Georgia is with her kids. And we see, like, Georgia's daughter picking up a stick in a New York City park and, like, putting it in her mouth. And she has, like, brown stuff all around her mouth and stuff. And Yvonne goes, because it makes me feel like if she can do it, I can definitely do it. They kind of just make these weird
jabs at each other.
Like, yeah, jabs at each other. I'm like, I don't know. It was just kids in the park. Like I said, her daughter's eating maybe wood. I don't know what it was. It looked gross. Georgia was changing her son, like, right in the middle of the park, and then he's running around. And he did have his full green outfit on, and then he just had his diaper on. We find out Yvonne comes from a huge family. I can't remember how many aunts. I think she said 8 aunts or something, and 21 first cousins. Like, it's enormous. Robert, it's just jumping around. Okay, so that's over. That was like a quick little scene. So now we're at Kenny's apartment with Whitney. So her moving truck has finally come in from LA, and this woman, they're moving in to a New York City apartment. Okay, we don't know what it's like to live in an apartment in a city. We live in, the country, we have land, we have houses and basements and storage. This is a New York City apartment. They got what they got. They don't have any extra. She brought an entire moving truck. She emptied her house in LA and brought it to this tiny apartment. She didn't put stuff in storage. She just brought it all. Like, what?
Yeah.
You think you would downsize a bit. Both of them.
Right.
Maybe he could move some stuff out. She could downsize. You're now moving together. You don't just get to bring all your shit together, you know?
Right.
So she brought 30 boxes of clothes and decor. I get that it's also her apartment, so she does want to bring some of her own decor and that sort of thing, but you can't just bring everything. We find out that Kenny, we see all the stuff arriving. They're bringing all of the boxes up to the apartment, and we start to hear background on Kenny. We find out he was raised in a shack. It was like a 1-bedroom. Him, his mom, and little brother, maybe, shared a bed. And we see a picture, and he's not being dramatic. It was like a shack. It was a tiny, like, house. Yeah. And he says he feels like he manifested his life. And they ask him because he has crystals all over his house. So, you know, he's into that kind of stuff. They're still bringing up boxes. Some of these boxes are enormous, too. We're not talking 30 of a standard box. Some of these things are as tall as, like, my chin. Like, they're tall boxes with clothes being hung in them and stuff. Like, it's a lot. So he's just commenting every time they open up a new box about all the stuff that she has. And she starts to get really sensitive. And he makes a comment about, oh, you don't have any of your minions here. And she says, I'm sorry I don't have any friends. She's super sensitive about not having friends. And, I mean, I get it. Some people have, like, really tight girlfriend groups, and it would be really hard to leave them. I just haven't ever had that as an adult. So to me, it's just, you move somewhere, it's not, I never have thought about needing or relying on, like, friends at a new place I go to. So she starts crying, and she's very sensitive. Because he really was not being mean to her. I don't like Kenny, but he was just joking about all the shit she brought. It wasn't anything that crazy. And she starts crying, and he hugs her and says he gets it's a big deal for her, and he actually apologizes, which I was surprised by because, honestly, if I would have been doing the light joking that he was about the number of boxes, and my partner started crying about it, I think I would have said, what is wrong with you? I wouldn't have been said, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed like a very dramatic response for something so dumb. So now, this is the second big part. Danielle's meeting Lindsay for lunch, and because Lindsay finally said she would meet her. Danielle says that too much time has gone by. A lot has been said, and now everyone is chiming in their friend group, and she just wants to get to the bottom of it. So the producer asked Lindsay, so what made you say yes? And Lindsay says, I'll always say yes. And then they flash back to her telling Danielle, I'll think about it. So I'm like, what? Okay, Lindsay. In your head, you would always say yes. Lindsay says that very significant parts of her life have been shattered by Danielle, and she used to call her her best friend. So the waiter comes up very awkwardly. You can tell he does not want to interrupt or thinks he's interrupting the filming, and he's like apologetic and stuff. So Lindsay orders a mimosa, she says, in case this goes south. Danielle's trying to figure out what the actual problem is, and she says that her understanding is that Lindsay feels like she's being judged for being a single mom. And Lindsay's like, no, that's not it at all. So Lindsay goes over all the things. Danielle making comments about Lindsay's gender reveal, and we flash back to that. And Danielle had said, so Lindsay had set up, last season it was, this big scavenger hunt kind of thing with all the housemates at Summer House to whoever won the scavenger hunt, you found out the gender. And Danielle had commented in one of her interviews, why is she making everything about the baby? Is she just trying to hurt Carl? Something like that. And then we see comments of when Lindsay and Carl first started dating, and Danielle says she thought she was moving too fast with Carl. Then we see comments of when Lindsay's pregnant, and Danielle says she's worried that the dad of the baby isn't even living with her yet. And is she just going to end up being a single mom? And then, of course, the hand job thing. And Danielle actually says, I don't even think I did that. But she already admitted it years ago when it happened. But Danielle's like, I don't even know why we're going back that far. Like, we were friends well after that. Why are these grudges going back so many years? Like, this is crazy. And Danielle says, I'm always your hype woman. Yeah, I have opinions and I have comments, but I never come from a negative point of view. And Lindsay says, your delivery sometimes is off, and maybe I'm just more sensitive now, but it hurt me. And I do think that since Lindsay got pregnant, she's changed. Like, she's more sensitive to things. She's a different person. I mean, and anyone who's had kids, you kind of know everything changes. You see things, the whole world, the way you see the world changes. So then in her interview, she says that this is Danielle, I get in the most trouble usually when I'm right about something. And we see more flashbacks showing, the things that she said that ended up being true, which is she's a single mom now, and she did move too fast with Carl because it didn't work out, and all those things. Yeah. And she said, so I'm just going to try not to be so vocal anymore. So Lindsay says that, she does want to meet Owen. She has this new person in her life, and she hasn't even met him. And Danielle says she wants to hear about Gemma and see photos. And then we flash over and we see Andrea and Lexi, Yvonne and Nick. They're sitting at a long table, and they're text messaging other people from the cast who are answering and saying, like, on my way, I'll be there soon, whatever. And everyone's starting to arrive, and Lindsay says, hey, we're having this brunch thing to Danielle. You want to come? And Danielle's like, yeah, I would never turn down brunch. But why wasn't Danielle invited in the first place? Because it's literally the entire cast.
The cast.
So I thought, that's weird. So then they end up walking over together to where this brunch is. And everyone's super surprised because they arrived together because they didn't know Danielle was even coming. Yeah. And Yvonne just says, when it comes to Lindsay's relationship with Danielle, Danielle has 9 lives. And they sit down and they just say, because everyone starts questioning them. And they say they're going to take it slow. And they said Danielle apologized and, they're good or whatever. And then Kyle weirdly says, well, if she gets an apology, maybe she can get an apology. And, like, gestures to Amanda. I'm like, what? So then I guess Danielle was a little aggressive towards Amanda. And we see a flashback because this was not in the episode last week. So Danielle... Okay, sorry. First, we get a flashback to when Danielle, in 2022, that season of Summer House, they were playing a game, the whole house, and Danielle got a question that said, who do you trust the least? And she said, Amanda. So then Danielle explains, there's never actually any beef between Amanda and Danielle. It's always other people's issues, and Amanda is just more than willing to hop on the Danielle bashing train. So Amanda says she was just trying to explain why Lindsay was upset and Danielle turned her back on her. So then we see a flashback to the party last week, and Amanda's trying to say you just need to go talk to her, and Lindsay is upset because you were talking shit in the confessionals, blah, blah, blah. Danielle had already been hurt. She tried to approach Lindsay by this point, and Lindsay just ignored her and gave her the cold shoulder. So Danielle is more upset and just like, quit giving me advice. I've already tried that tonight. I'm done. And so she just didn't want to have the conversation. And Amanda apparently took that very seriously. Enough to have a conversation with Kyle about it. So let's see.
American homeowners are sitting on $30 trillion in home equity. But home insurance is up over 100% since 2010. Healthcare, childcare, property taxes, all up. But wages? Just stuck. Lots of equity, but feeling the squeeze. Every month they wonder why it still feels so tight. Unlock thinks we need to talk about this more. Start at unlock.com/equity. Unlock Home Equity Solutions and MLS 2657081.
Fuel your hustle with protein-packed, flavor-stacked Roller Bites. These compact handheld snacks deliver bold taste and real protein, so you can stay full, focused, and moving. No mess, no slowdown. Big flavor, clean fuel, and the kind of bite that just works. From long days to late nights, Roller Bites are ready when you need them in flavors like tequila lime, Monterey Jack, and Buffalo Ranch. Grab them in your nearest convenience store or catch them on tour. Visit rollerbites.com for dates, locations, and more.
Kenny jumps in because Danielle and Amanda are kind of having a back and forth conversation. Kenny jumps in and says, well, if you have a problem with Lindsay, you have a problem with 5 girls. And Lindsay just says, Jesus, this guy, like under her breath, because it's like, why is he after me again? I'm not even a part of this. Like, it was Amanda and Danielle. Then Nick, who is Yvonne's husband, if you forget, because I couldn't even remember his name, jumps in and says, don't you mean the minions? Because he must be messy, because Kenny did not call them minions, but we see a flashback to where Kenny had called them minions when they had the boys' night. So Nick wanted to make sure that all the girls knew that Kenny was out here calling them Lindsay's minions. So that pisses everybody off because they're all saying, we have our own opinions, we all have our own thoughts, we're not falling under Lindsay Hubbard. Some of us are really good friends with her, and Amanda's like, I'm not even one of Lindsay's girls. Lindsay and Amanda actually were not even friends at all in the summer house and fought. There was one season they fought because Lindsay had posted a picture from some big event and literally cut Amanda out of the photo because she didn't want her to be on her social media. So, like, they're not amazing friends by any means. And I think some of it, too, is what they're saying is, no. We don't just do Lindsay's bidding on this show. We're our own individual people and our own individual lives. And just shut up what you're trying to say here, Kenny. So Lindsay's trying to explain, I have been friends with Yvonne for 10 years. She's not just some new minion who's now on my show kind of thing. And Georgia, I met, she was my dermatologist. We had kids now that are around the same age, and she got me through a hard time. Like, she's trying to say, these are real friends in real life that have nothing to do with this show or just backing me up or whatever. And she's starting to get a little heated and yell a little bit. And he yells across the table, what's wrong with you? Are you on glue? And she's like, yeah, Kenny, I'm huffing fucking glue. What are you talking about? What? And she says, yeah, she goes, yes, I am activated because you are fucking dumb. Like, she is so mad at him. And she says, well, Kenny has a minion. It's Whitney. And he says, she's not my minion. She's my girlfriend. And Lindsay says, then give her a fucking closet. And they're just fighting. So then Whitney starts crying and saying she has a really good friend group in LA and no friends here. Whitney says it's intimidating. Everyone has a lot of history, and she just wants to feel welcome. She's not used to this kind of cattiness, and if she doesn't want to be one of Lindsay's minions, she just won't fit in. So he's already been in her ear, trying to make sure, essentially, she doesn't become friends with these women, because by saying, you'll just be under Lindsay's, you know, she's in charge or whatever. Kenny says that there will eventually be a revolt of the minions, but for now they live under the tyranny of Lindsay Hubbard. I'm like, oh God. So Amanda starts chanting, opinions, not minions. Opinions, not minions. Like, it's just chaos. And so they toast to that. And then the final scene-ish here is Lexi is in the park with Whitney and Georgina. And Georgina says, you know, she had gone on a date last night, but it was with someone she knew before she had been with her ex-husband. And the apps don't work for her. She had set her parameters on the apps to say, you know, like, I only do this or I won't do this. And once she did that, no one comes up. So, and then she told a weird story about going, swiping or getting connected with an actual man that looked like Santa Claus. So she always has a little story. Like, that is Georgina's entire plot line is, oh, I have a little story to tell. Whitney is still on her closet storyline. She had somebody come over to measure the closet to see what they could do with organizing it. And Kenny walks in and is very surprised by that. So then Lexi, which I thought Lexi was super boring and wouldn't create any drama, but she has all kinds of drama for this little park visit. She says, I want to make sure you're not going to get hurt or blindsided by something I'm hearing. Andrea heard from Kyle that Kenny said he's unsure if there's a spark there. And we see a flashback of Nick saying the same thing. So I don't know how many people Kenny said this to. And then we see the dinner on the sidewalk where Kenny is telling Kyle, you know, I just don't know. I don't have some kind of crazy spark where it's like, oh, yeah, she's the one. So then Whitney says it's hard to believe because they took this step, you know, her moving across the country. Why would he do this and then figure it out? He should have already known. And she says it's also a trigger for her because her last relationship lasted a few years and then her boyfriend just dropped her because he said she wasn't the one. So I think Whitney is falling into the trap of being the fun, easy girl, not the I want a final relationship girl kind of thing. Because, So then Lexi says he also used the word murky to describe your relationship future. And Georgia is like, murky like a swamp? And then Whitney looks like she's gonna bawl. So then Georgia's like, oh, don't get upset before you know if there's actually something to get upset about. You need to talk to him. And Whitney's just bawling. And then she says, I'll just move right back out if this is the situation. So then we have one little scene. Kyle and Amanda are dressed in Loverboy matching outfits. They're going to go on a podcast together. It's called Boys Lie? Yeah, the Boys Lie podcast. And they had done a collab with their Shirley Temple. And it has something to do with boys lie, but men don't, I guess was their slogan. I don't know. They're describing all this as they're walking down the sidewalk. And she's explaining to him, so get this. You know how she was just looking for fully furnished month-to-month renting apartments? And I had said, those apartments don't look like apartments you rent month-to-month. Well, lo and behold, she just couldn't find a month-to-month rental, so she had to sign a year lease.
Of course she did.
Of course. And so he says, I feel like I should be fighting you on this to stay. But the whole point of the separation, and then she interrupts him and says, we aren't separating. We're still together. We're just creating space. I'm like, okay, Lynn, we get it, Amanda. You're not separated. Kyle says, for the purpose of today's podcast, let's keep our private matters private. Then we see Whitney and Kenny out for dinner because it's his birthday dinner. And he pulls out her chair and says, "Here you go, my lady," which I didn't like. That made me cringe. Yeah, my lady. It wasn't good. Whitney says it's been a crazy day, crazy week. Then it flashes back to the podcast, and they're asking, so how do you keep a spark in your relationship? And Kyle says, if the spark isn't in your own relationship, you start looking elsewhere. Awkward. And so Amanda was definitely going to pretend that they still had a spark in their relationship because she goes, "Oh, the spark." And she was going to say something else, and that caught her off guard. So she just tries to save it. And then we flash back to Whitney and Kenny, and she says to him, "So Lexi told me in the park that you said our relationship doesn't have that spark." And we see his reaction, like his face, but he doesn't answer, and then the episode ends. So we'll, I guess, start back there to see how Kenny's gonna get out of that one.
He's gonna get all fired up. He seems like he could be a bit of a hothead.
Yeah, he doesn't. I feel like he's lived in a world where everybody always says yes to him, and he has no idea what it's like to deal with a Lindsay or these people who are like, "You're wrong."
Yeah.
You know, I feel like people are always, "You're right. Yeah, perfect idea." Because he's probably successful and a little intelligent at whatever he does for his business. And so he's always being told yes, and he does not know how to handle this situation. So yeah. Now, this one didn't come from Lindsay, so we'll see how he handles this. Is he going to handle it different because men are spreading the rumor, not a woman? We'll see.
Yep.
So thanks for listening. You can find us on all of the podcast apps. We're at Shaded Reality. We are also on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram. So follow us there. That is Shaded Reality Pod. And I did start catching us up with YouTube. So if you would love to see our faces, I'm close to being caught up with putting the video up on YouTube. And I will try to be better at keeping up with that. Yeah, I've been dropping episodes Mondays and Wednesdays so that we're a little more current and in real time. But I guess that's everything. Do you have anything else to add?
Nope.
All right. Thanks for listening. I hope the lawnmower wasn't too annoying because I can still hear it off in the distance, but
I can't.
Yeah. Have a fantastic day, and we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.
There's a feeling a lot of homeowners share right now. Mortgage, always on time. Lots of equity. On paper, you're doing fine. But then the insurance bill lands. Property taxes, healthcare, childcare, tuition. The math just isn't mathing. Unlock wants to talk about the squeeze American homeowners are feeling and what you can do about it. Start at unlock.com/equity. Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc., NMLS 2657081.
Get that Amex Gold Card ready. I'm too tired to cook.
We feeling Five Guys or the Cheesecake Factory?
Both.
Earn up to $120 a year in statement credits at participating partners. Up to $10 each month when you pay with the Amex Gold Card. Learn more at americanexpress.com/explore-gold. Enrollment required. Terms apply.
While every other channel is fighting for your customers' attention, podcasts are where they've already given it. No one accidentally listens to a podcast for 45 minutes. They choose to be here. They trust the voice in their ears, and when that voice talks about your brand, it doesn't sound like advertising. It sounds like a recommendation from a friend. Acast gives you that trust at scale. Digital precision, host-read authenticity, and performance data that proves it worked. Don't fight for attention. Buy it with Acast. Learn more by visiting acast.com/advertise.